give him a mask, and he will tell you the truth. Nachi free. I am a big fan of the Rubin Report on YouTube, and especially his theme song for the show. It makes me want to dance. And who knows, considering dance videos usually go viral, maybe this one will. But I doubt it, considering the title, There Is No God. Deal with it, Dennis Prager. Now, for anyone not familiar with Dave Rubin, he's a true political centrist. He's one of those rare, sane voices that does not have an ulterior motive other than having an honest dialogue that exposes false narratives and needless division in society. And recently on his show, he hosted his first debate about the existence of God between Michael Shermer and Dennis Prager. For those of you who don't know either of these gentlemen, Michael Shermer is a science writer and founder of the Skeptics Society. I'm a big fan of Michael Shermer and have enjoyed watching his debates debunking religion, some of which I've linked down below. And Dennis Prager is a conservative talk show host and author, and he's got a great YouTube channel called PragerU, which I actually enjoy many of their videos. I'm also glad to see Dennis Prager working with one of my favorite comedians and outspoken atheist, Adam Carolla, on the documentary No Safe Spaces. Now, while I may agree with Dennis Prager as a fiscal conservative, I don't agree with him on socially liberal issues, and I totally disagree with him on the existence of God. Because there is absolutely no evidence for the existence of an all-loving, all-knowing, all-forgiving supreme being such as the Judeo-Christian God of the Bible, and much less Allah from the Quran, or any of the dozens of Hindu gods, though I will admit I do have a soft spot for Ganesh. Anywho, here's why I'm bothering to make this video, and I hope you, the viewer, get something out of it. Especially if you believe in God. Because even though I know I'm not going to change your mind overnight, I hope I get you to realize why you will be better off embracing some of the bitter, harsh truths about reality, even if they may seem uncomfortable, like this video, and painful at first. Now, in this debate, which I've also linked down below, Dennis Prager thinks he's making a strong case for the existence of God, yet he's unwittingly exposing some of the deepest psychological reasons why people hold on to these falsehoods and why it does society more harm than good. Watch.
I think that forgive me for being as crass as it sounds, between the penis and the conscience, the penis will usually win. And having God say control your organ is more powerful.
You know, I used to be in a band in Brooklyn called Between the Penis and the Conscience.
Were you? The question I most want an answer to, or most curious to get an answer to from an atheist, do you hope you're right or do you hope you're wrong?
I don't really hope. I just sort of go along and just try to lead a good life. And
right,
I'm not hoping for anything, really. I mean, if it turned out there's a God.
Yes. Would you be happy? I mean, look, there are undoubtedly people you love in your life. So if there is a God and the traditional belief there's an afterlife, you would reconnect.
Sure,
I
would be glad about that.
Right.
Of course.
Okay, that's all. Okay, let me tell you why I asked.
If that was the reason, if that was the version that was real, you know what I mean? People.
Well, if God is good, there's an afterlife. If God is an idiot, or God is cruel, or God doesn't give a damn about His creation, then there's no afterlife. But I make only two leaps of faith. It's all I make. That God exists, that God is the creator, and God is good. And if that's the case, then there's an afterlife. That's all. You can't have a good God and this totally unjust world be the only existence. That would be a cruel God. Yeah. I only know that a good God figures out how to undo the terrible injustice of this life. That's it.
Now that was the main point I wanted to talk about, because among the major reasons why people feel the need to believe in God, such as the fear of death, let alone hell, and the sorrow of never seeing our loved ones again after they died, and the need for certainty, purpose, and inclusion in societal groups, and of course an easy answer to why anything exists, I have also noticed that a major reason why people continue to believe in God is because they have a hard time accepting all the suffering and injustice in this world. I think that may very well be even harder to accept than death itself. After all, many people even welcome death, sometimes in the form of suicide, just to escape the unconscionable acts of horror we're all too aware of, sometimes just from reading the local news. And therein lies the problem with religion. It renders the majority of people helpless to solve these problems, which can be solved. You can't just pray them away. But most people won't bother trying to solve these problems because their religion has taught them that this life doesn't count. It's the afterlife that does. And this is why we're not solving our problems here on Earth. Okay? This is why we're having Islamic-inspired terrorist attacks frequent enough to be lectured by global leaders that we need to learn to live with them. This is why some people are resorting to exorcisms instead of seeking out professional medical help. Why our planet is overpopulated with children born into dysfunctional, loveless families and tossed around through foster homes every time someone thinks that a pregnancy is a blessing and a sign from God, and that birth control, let alone abortion, would be a mortal sin. And thanks to this overpopulation, we get high crime rates, unemployment, deep divisions in society. And then these problems are exploited by government overreach and globalist elites, many whom are outright psychopathic dictators. This is why life seems so unfair and unjust, and why true oppression, inequality, and injustice goes unanswered. This is what happens when people choose religion over reason, superstition and spirituality over science, and give in to emotional urges instead of rational thought. And as much as I agree with Michael Shermer more so than Dennis Prager on just about everything in that debate, here's the one thing that I disagree with Michael Shermer on.
I don't understand a believer who never has doubts. I don't get it. So I don't understand an atheist who never has doubts.
Do you think that's a fair critique? Because we hear that a lot about atheists.
Right,
These days, I think we hear it more than usual.
So clarification on the term. So agnostic, technically, when Huxley coined the term, he meant unknowable. Not like you're waiting there for one more experiment or one more piece of data and then I'll make up my mind. He says it's just not knowable in any rational scientific sense. And so ontologically speaking, I'm an agnostic. We can't know. There's no experiment we're going to run. And there it is, 0.05 level of significance, God exists.
Right.
Atheist, so there's strong and weak atheism. So strong atheism, I know there's no God. That to me is an indefensible position. So weak atheism, I just don't believe in a God. I could be wrong, that's the more defensible position.
Well, I guess that makes me a strong atheist, and I'll tell you why. While it is true, you cannot prove a negative. You can expose falsehoods and debunk myths. After all, reality is objective, and there are many aspects of reality that are not a matter of opinion, but a matter of fact, such as the world is round. 2 + 2 always equals 4, and 2 parts hydrogen with 1 part oxygen can only equal water. And if you don't drink any of it in 3 days, you'll die of dehydration. And along these lines of objectivity, we can also say and must say with certainty that every single religion is false, especially the 5 major ones: Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. These time-honored, glorified fairy tales were written by people who were scientifically illiterate. It's not for nothing why in the very story of Genesis, God supposedly creates the earth first and then the stars and sun. This is in direct contradiction to reality and everything that's been discovered about the earth through archaeology, biology, chemistry, physics, and science in general. If science is good enough for you to be watching this video thanks to technology, then the very principles that make this possible are the same ones that contradict just about every single religious claim, such as reincarnation according to Hinduism, or talking with an angel named Gabriel, according to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, where prophets speak to burning bushes, raise themselves from the dead, or fly off on winged horses. Or that Buddha was such an enlightened being that his bones turned to crystals when he died, and he's been reincarnating himself ever since through every single Dalai Lama. Bullshit. And this, of course, applies to every other subsidiary or minor religion, especially cults such as Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Scientology, to name a few. The amount of people who have lost their loved ones and life savings thanks to these despicably deceitful groups should be more than enough evidence for everyone to finally wake up to these grotesque falsehoods that take advantage of our innate naivete and gullibility, and our desire to be part of a social network in order to survive in this one and only life any of us will ever know. Look, the bottom line is, there is no evidence for God. All religions are bullshit, and this life is all we have, so we might as well make the most of it by solving our problems ourselves and not waiting for God to do it in the afterlife. Oh, by the way, I've got t-shirts for sale, okay? The link's down below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button or subscribe. And if you really like this video, you can support this channel through Patreon or by making a one-time donation via paypal.me/homegrown. Thanks for watching.